Saudi Arabia recently made a statement. Actually not one statement, several, condemning pretty much every single action of Israeli aggression against, whether it is the people of Lebanon, in Gaza, in Egypt, in Syria, everywhere. Every single time, in other words, Israel will do something, Saudi Arabia will always come up with a statement condemning the attacks of the Israeli regime. This is unprecedented. This is something we have never seen ever in the past. Not only this, we also have reporters from the Middle East talking and writing against the people of Israel, the Israeli regime. So, for example, we have this person. His name is Jabel Al-Harmi. He is a Qatari journalist, and he said basically that Hamas is standing up for the sanctities of 2 billion Muslims on its own. Qatari journalist says. Not only this, but also politicians, for example, from the Egyptian parliament. He's an MP in Egypt. He said, we will reach Tel Aviv in a matter of few minutes and we will destroy Israel. This is coming from Egypt. I'm just paraphrasing. That's not exactly the word of him, but this is what he said. Unbelievable. Coming from, again, Egyptian politician, coming from Qatari journalist, coming from Saudi Arabia, the government level. Why all of these things are happening? Looks like to me at the moment, and if you take a look at the video from Colonel Dou Macgregor, I'll play the video in a second, you can sense something big is going on. And I put this on 2 points. I just want to sum it up on 2 points. Number one, the Middle Eastern countries, especially Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, they have seen that the campaign, the genocidal campaign that Israel ran for 15 months with a blank check from Joe Biden government, billions of dollars and a lot of ammunition, all the weapons, advanced technology, they have failed miserably, number one. Number two, so this is most likely one of the main reasons why these Arab nations are now feeling a lot more confident in terms of confronting Israel, at least saying something that they used to never say in the past. The other reason it could be that because of Israel itself, these Arab nations, they cannot trust Israel anymore. They have violated every single ceasefire deal, whether it is with Hezbollah in Lebanon, whether it is in Gaza with Hamas, whether it is Iran, whether it is Turkey, whether it is Syria. In other words, whenever they try to negotiate or make or sign an agreement with any party, they violate. To the point where Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, UAE, they are most likely, according to what I understand, saying to themselves that, look, these people, the Zionist lunatics, cannot be trusted. Therefore, don't really be so on the defensive all the time. Let's attack them. Let's launch a counter-offensive against the Israeli, at least through our propaganda, through our media. Now, this is something of an unprecedented level happening. And Colonel Dou Macgregor, he actually is breaking it down. To him, what I understand, the war in the Middle East is just a matter of time. Take a listen.
What is the war in the Middle East? What is the likelihood of war in the Middle East? Who would be the combatants? How would this come about? What do you fear there, Colonel?
Well, first of all, thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. My concern right now, today, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has cut off water, food, sustenance to the people living in Gaza in the ruins. And this happens during a period that they call Ramadan. In other words, these are holy days. Now, this is not the first time this has happened, but right now this is extremely dangerous for the lives of the people who are clinging tenaciously to life in Gaza. But it is also pushing the Arab states in the region to the point where they cannot help but declare war and fight Israel.
Cannot help but declare war against and fight against Israel. Cannot help but declare war. Again, I'm not saying this coming from an expert, Colonel Dou Macgregor. If you do not know him, he's a U.S. Army ex-veteran. He knows all of these things. He's an expert. Therefore, it is so significant. He is open about this. In the past, he made a lot of predictions. A lot of them came true. Right now, he is also predicting that a war is about to break out in the Middle East. Having said that, though, guys, we know that Egypt will never attack Israel. Saudi Arabia will never attack Israel. Jordan, UAE, all of these countries will never attack Israel. Nevertheless, if it gets to the point where Israel is pushing it, if Israel is wanting it, I don't personally believe that these countries will keep it quiet, because they have seen what Israel is capable of doing, how capable they are in terms of even violating ceasefire agreement or any agreement. They are now witnessing what Israel is doing, most importantly in Syria. In Syria, Israel has no business. Nevertheless, they want to expand their territories. They want to expand those buffer zone and make it their own autonomous, land where they will have the upper hand to do whatever they want. This is not sitting well with these countries, and these countries are now talking to themselves. Hey, look at me. Hey, look at me too. Oh my God, what these lunatics are doing. Should we do something? Should we say something at least? Yeah, let's do it, because these mad dogs, these lunatic Zionists, they're really not of a big deal. Look at what they did in Gaza. Look how they were defeated. Look how they were humiliated. They were forced to withdraw from Philadelphia corridor. They were forced to withdraw from Nazareth corridor. So they are not really big deal. I think we can say something at least, right?
This has become the cause célèbre throughout the Islamic world. Right now, Egypt has poured more than 50,000 troops into the Sinai in close proximity to the border with Israel.
Wow.
And I think this is conceivably the last straw. Tomorrow, all of the Arab states will meet in Cairo, and they will discuss their plan to resolve the Gaza crisis. In other words, a plan to rebuild Gaza. And I think it will be presented effectively as an ultimatum to Mr. Netanyahu. Now, it could be that the Israelis decide to strike before they become the targets themselves. They've done that before. But I think they'll find that the Arab states are actually ready for that.
It is an incredible...
Absolutely, they are ready for that. They are now ready. And to what extent they will go in order to counter Israel is something we'll just have to wait and see to find out.
And
but looks like at the moment things are not sitting well with these dictators in the Middle East.
States will ultimately, if this is rejected, they will fight Israel. And I don't think it will stop there. I think Jordan will be pulled into this unavoidably. I think this will involve Syria, where in southern Syria, all the way up to Damascus, the Israelis have essentially declared a buffer state under their control. This is a provocation to the Turks, and I think the Turks will find it impossible to avoid conflict with Israel. And at the same time, the Iranians and the Egyptians are close, and the Iranians have said that they will stand by Egypt.
Wow.
And obviously, the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, is close to President Sisi. Again, I think you're going to see unity across the region and across the Islamic world. And this is the last thing that I think we as Americans and frankly Israelis should want to see. We want Israel to survive. And this is a prescription for destruction that once unleashed could consume Israel completely. And it'll do a lot of damage to us. We can't even begin to talk about what happens at home in the markets, to our economy, the financial system, and ultimately behind Iran, and I think increasingly Egypt, we will find Russia, because the Russians have no interest in seeing these countries destroyed by Israel or us.
Also, guys, if you do not remember, Gideon Sa'ar, the Israeli foreign minister, he actually sounded the alarm the other day about Turkey-Hezbollah relationship, and he said that Turkey is helping Hezbollah directly. And therefore, I mean, you can see that all of these regions, they're forgetting their differences. They know at the end of the day, those differences is not going to be a threat, an existential threat to themselves. Rather, it is the Zionist state, this entity, this land thieves who are going to be the threat, the existential threat. What will happen? I mean, just let me know in the comment section below. I know a lot of you will say, well, no, it's not going to happen. The war is not going to break out. And I agree with you. As I said, I will always maintain my position, which is that these Middle Eastern countries, they're not going to attack Israel. That will be the last thing they would want to do. Nevertheless, having said though, nevertheless, the situation is now at a boiling point. And if Israel doesn't stop its greater Israeli ambition propaganda and all those nonsense stuff, then, I mean, anything can be triggered. And we know that Syria right now, under Erdogan's leadership, they are not going to be the ones to sit idle and keep it quiet. They are going to strike, and that will, trust me, have a domino effect in the region.